Hello, I'm live for the hour. I'm going to be doing some readings for whoever would like today. I read with these tarot cards, and the whole point of doing this, actually, excuse me, whole point of doing this is to take issues that are maybe holding a disproportionate amount of space in your head, in your heart, in your mind, and so on. And just do that here. Can't quite see. And and just give you, read and tune in, read, and tell you what I'm seeing, what I'm getting about it. I really do believe that people in general know what to do, as long as we can get out of the way of it. And that whole conversation about getting out of our own way, it's a big one. It's a nebulous one, and we're not taught how to. And that's, I think, honestly, that's kind of a shame. The psychoenergetic system of the human being, I believe, is it's fundamental to how we feel, what we do, and how well our life goes. And we are not taught how to work with it, how to change it. And I for one, in these next over these next few years, I want to do a lot with that. And so where this comes into it, although it might seem a little outlandish, where this comes into it is we don't know this so well, but I'm preparing for my taxes right now, right? I don't think anyone in the history of ever has ever wanted to do their tax return, and I have no problems with tax, and I all fine with all this sort of thing, but just pulling things together, the amount of time it takes, and it's like pulling teeth, personally, for me. And so something that is not actually difficult takes if you think about it, something that's not difficult takes up this much space and is using up this much of your resources all the time. And so the longer you don't do it for, the bigger that thing gets, even though it's not complicated. Not the day to talk about procrastination. I could say a million things about that. But my point is it's Tuesday afternoon, the planes are going over. Bear with me. Bear with me. So for today, if you would like to, if you've got a question on your mind, on your heart today, just put it in the comments here, whether you're here with me on YouTube or if you're with me on Facebook, put the comments in. I'm going to, a couple more things to say, and then I'll get to that. I hope I'm making the point that something which you may not realize you've been giving a lot of energy to, I can give you an external take on here, and you'll know through the truth of what you're feeling if it's the right answer or not, and then you can do something about it, and then it's not taking up any more space, is it? I use the Robin Wood deck. I really like this deck. I've used this deck for years. If you've ever had a reading with me, I've used this deck. Or the Invisible one, which is really good as well, really, really good. And I find a lot of the questions that we would ask of ourselves and try and figure out is, when's something going to happen? What's going on with that person? Give me some understanding of the energy around it. It seems to be what we really want to know, and everything. Let's see, we've got some questions here. All right, let's get to it then. Oops. Okay, let's get some music on. There we go. See, Natasha is first of all. Okay. We got Sue and then Jill. All right. Okay. Right. So, Natasha, this is for you, first of all. Looking at 2 weeks, and you know what I'm going to just quickly do, which maybe I should do this more often. I'm actually going to just quickly show you what I'm looking at, which I can't do for you guys on YouTube. Yeah. I'm just going to quickly show you what I'm looking at. This is a spread for the first week that you've asked about, Natasha. This is a spread for the second week. And what I want to show you here, and I'm sorry for everyone that's seeing me on YouTube that can't see me. Can you see how much more energy there is around this second week? Okay. And while this looks lovely too, this is first week, it's preparatory, right? We're in the journey, we're contemplating, right? So this is kind of seeding energy week. This is the action week, right? So what I want to just show you, right? And so let me see. What are the dates of this? So we're not getting to Mercury retrograde yet. We're not. That's at the end of this month. We're still at the start of this month. Okay, cool. So briefly for you, Natasha, for this next week, don't be trying to do big things, but I also don't think the big things are going to be coming at you either. Guidance for this week is look at the things you worry about, because and that's not to negate the things you worry about, but to really look at it with an objective lens, because you'll see that it's hollow. And again, not that you have nothing to worry about, not that you have nothing to be concerned about, and so on, but to see that you might be feeling it's this big, but it's actually this big. And even if it's this big, there's still something to address and deal with there, but it's way more manageable than you might think it is. This is a week to be saying to people, well, a bit like this. Hey, could you help me out with this? Can I get your take on this? It's like not a big week. Next week, or the second of the 2 weeks that you've asked about, that's the doing, that's the action. You know, looking at you can even see the colors are similar there, right? And never mind that it's a death card. That's just a big change thing. But execution as in action, right, can only happen once the required processing has been done, and then it's just boom, then it's just an action. And we can, we are due for a conversation. We can take this further. But my point is, I first of all don't see big concerns. I don't see big challenges in either of these 2 weeks. But I'd say for this next week, it's doing a little less, not making some of the big choices, but the second week, considerably more so. All right. Now where are we? Went on a bit long there. Sue, thinking about buying an EMF blocking hat. Gosh, I can't. I should have worn something darker. I can't see the text so well. Will that be beneficial to wear, especially during sleep time? And would one of those hats be helpful to my son? Okay. And Jill, you are next. Right. Sue, I'm not super versed in what these. I have definitely come across them. There is a different type of one. It's that's what I'm getting here, because I just pulled on EMF and I'm like, no, there's something else. So to answer your question, though, yes, to wear it, and yes, it will be good for your son. But there's a different type, there's a different brand, right? Um, I'll usually these things pop up on my feed, and I'll check in on them. But the I think where you're going with that, there's another type of thing, and I think it's regarding the type of frequencies that they block. But there's another kind. Got to be careful with the stuff you buy online, because you have good versions of it and not good versions of it. But the short of the long there, Sue, is yes, there is something that's going to be good for him to use and wear. But it's about selecting the right one. Right. Okay. All right. Jill. I'd love a reading about the water damage remediation. Hope it can be done this week. Would anything... trouble reading here. Would love a reading about the water damage remediation. Hoping it can be done this week. And would please love to know if there is anything else I need to know, or... Oh, that's all. Okay. All right, so Jill, this looks actually really good. I get it. Had some issues here with plumbing recently too, and you don't want the word water and damage in the same sentence. I understand. I'm not going to be ridiculous about this, but to say that I only pulled 3 cards. I've got 2 aces here. When you get issues in the house with water, and I have a few, and you clear them and you shift them, that's of course the mirror of the emotional body and emotions. It's a wonderful thing when you get those things resolved in terms of the flow of the rest of your life. Annoying in the house, good for the rest of your life. And so what I'm just seeing very clearly here, Jill, is frustrating to the house though it is. You've done something. You've supported the next flow, the next cycle to begin. So it's a good thing. I don't actually get much more about this. The other thing people don't talk about water when we get woo-woo like this. We love our woo-woo conversations. But the other thing people don't talk about with water is that it requires a container. It requires adequate containment, because if you just pour it on the table or the floor, it will go anywhere and it will evaporate, and that's and it's a waste and it's annoying. And so when you address that there has been a fault and there has been a leak, and you clear up a leak, of course, then you've got energy, attention, flow, all those kind of usage going to the right place in the most efficient way. And that is a good analogy for the rest of your life. Water is feminine by nature, but we have to bring our masculine nature to it as well to give it the best environment for flow. Okay, Catherine. Will Jason get a job soon? Will Jason get a job soon? Yeah, he's on the right. He's on the right track. I'm never going to correct people from using the word soon, but it's a nebulous word. What I'm getting about this, I'm just being honest about what I'm seeing. What I'm getting is that I'd like to see a bit more oomph into what he's doing. I feel like part of, it's a bit like me doing my tax return. He sort of doesn't really want to be doing it, and it's just the way that's going to reflect in the outcome, isn't it? And I want to tell you, yeah, Catherine, soon, really, really soon. And I'm saying he's on the right trajectory. I'd just like to see him double down a bit more. We can want to do something, and we can want to do something as well. And things happen much quicker when we just want to do things. So my answer to your question is yes, and it could happen sooner too. Rachel and Denise, I'll get to you next. I wish I'd worn something darker. I can barely see what you've written here. Struggling in multiple areas of my life right now. I'm sorry to hear that, Rachel. Difficulty sleeping and increased anxiety. Can you please give me some guidance on what is blocking my highest path right now, and if I'm making the best choices in regard to relationships and career? Okay, that's quite a lot there. I should need to write this down. Rachel, I'm sorry what you're going through. Yes, I'm very sorry what you're going through there. Okay. Assuming you can hear me okay. I've got the flyover happening right now. So Rachel, the sleep and the anxiety, they're not actually the same cause. That was a little bit of a surprise for me. They usually do come the same cause. So to say this, your sleep is being affected by how connected you are to the greater collective. All right, and as you go to sleep and you're in the more subtle realms, as it were, you're picking that up whether you want to, and that is affecting your sleep, and we can talk about that in a minute with the time I have here. The anxiety is actually about your past. It's not a present thing. So I was a little surprised to see that they are different. Where this comes together for you is I want to say overwhelm and how much you are carrying. If there's one thing that I think ties this together, because you've asked about relationships, you've asked about careers, and I don't have the degree of time to get into all of that here. But if I can give you one thing to look at, which I feel is the door to a lot of this, it's when you're asked to do something, and whether that's socially or family, work, or anything else, you're asked to do something and you don't agree and you don't want to, but you do it anyway. Well, no one else will, and so you do it anyway. That's where this, I say, energetic dissonance comes in. This conflicting part of you. So I don't want to, but I have to, and that's going to create these little like interruptions and impedances with you, and obviously rather not be seeing that. So have a look at that first of all, because because this is a bigger issue than I can just simply address in one shot here. It simply is. Why that's important, the nature of overriding yourself and maybe going against what you actually really want to do, is that's inhibiting release. Okay, that's inhibiting release from you. Um, just the discharge of energy that should be happening daily, and it should be happening. Release should be happening anyway, and that's getting impeded. But also, it's also impeding your intuition, with regard to where solutions come in. And so you're kind of in this soup of challenging energy. It's not getting released quickly enough, and your intuition, which should be feeding and dispersing that's not getting in enough as well. So I'd love to see you just getting having a break, sleeping in more, right? Kind of catching up if it's not happening at nighttime. Love to see that happening for you. I'd love to see you saying no more often. See if you can get in like 3 or 4 of those a day. Actually practice saying no, and creating new boundaries, right? Like I say, love to have it needs a longer conversation, whoever you want to have that longer conversation with. But I hope that supports you. Denise. Let me see. I'm feeling very unsocial and have lower energy. Is this solely due to grief, or is there something else at play? Yes. All right. So interesting one, Denise. Your energy, don't want to use the word energy too much. It can get confusing here. I use the word energy in regard to, let's say, vitality and how good you're feeling, how strong you're feeling. And you're saying that's low. Okay, let me put it in that terms. That's happening because your frequency is rising. It's not happening because there's a problem. And isn't that weird? Because you'd think, well, if my energy is rising, I should feel good. So, yes, your energy is rising. And so old structures and old patterns are getting cleared off you. That can feel tiring. That can feel, that's where we can feel grief and despondency and so on, because the things that are familiar to us are leaving, and so a greater part of us is growing. And because I put the cards down thinking, gosh, am I about to see something similar to what I just read for Rachel? It's like, no, I see something completely different. And please, all of you, understand that the bad days, the struggle days, the uncomfortable days, the nothing's going right days, that's indicative of stretch happening too. It's not necessarily a bad thing, and I don't like it. I'm having a few of those myself recently. I don't like it, but we only notice that because our current containment isn't big enough for what we are becoming. Okay, and that's what I'm seeing for you. I'm seeing you expanding. I'm seeing someone coming to you as well. These I'm sure are things that you would like to happen, and for that to happen, growth is happening, and the discomfort that comes with that as well. So, Denise, actually, the causes are causal factors actually seem to be pretty good for you. Yeah. One sec. Just need to check something. Oops, got lost. Denise. Misty. There's a lot going on around you. Seems like things are happening in the background for my career. Very important people in my life for wanting to move far away from just things. Very important people in my life wanting to move far away, just things moving. Okay, got it. What is my role currently? What should I be looking at? What should I be doing right now for me? Okay. So a few questions there. Very important. What's your role? What's your role currently? What should you be doing right now for you? What's your role? Okay. Okay. So I'm going to affirm, yes, Misty, things are moving a lot around you, and people are leaving. Really important to balance that out, because that's true. And any complaint we ever have in life generally is true. Well, important to balance it out, which means not trying to make this untrue and not trying to reframe it either. It's just adding the balance to it. And I hope this makes sense. Because you ask, what do you do? No, let me back up. What's your role? Your role is to be the one that's not moving, right? Whether people are moving for the right reasons or not, that's not your issue. Your issue is to be solid and still. And it's a challenge, isn't it? Because we understand ourselves in relation to other people. Then it's like, where did they go? Why didn't they show up? What's going on? Is it me in some way? But actually, this is about making you stronger, but also seeing that the foundational principles on which you know yourself and have built your life, those are not changing. So it's going to be good for you to see what doesn't change. What do you do about this? Let me go back to the balance again. As things change, as people go, right? And things aren't there. The way you balance it out is appreciation for the things that you do have. And to remember that as things go and as people go, others come. That it's just that simple. It's just that simple. It doesn't necessarily happen exactly at the same time, but as you look at the longer time frame, it does happen at the same time. It's wild. We live minute by minute, don't we? And so we don't see the things that come to us. It makes a lot more sense in hindsight. But you were very, 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 very much on the right track. in terms of what you're doing. Very much on the right track, Misty, in terms of who you are being and becoming. It's just about, take a minute, just appreciate the little things, just little things that, I think another pen, the little things, and those will in your field of vision grow, right? And so you'll have the balance between, well, hey, things are going, things are leaving, things are changing, versus things are coming, things are staying, things are growing. Oops. Okay. Sandy. And Mary, I'll go to you. Are you still here? Or are you not there anymore? Okay. Then I won't. Okay. Sandy. I'd love some guidance about my upcoming blood test in a few days related to the autoimmune disease I am recovering from. I'd love some guidance about your upcoming blood test in a few days. All right, so you haven't had the blood test. You're going to. That's what I'm understanding. Well, Sandy, this looks pretty good to me. Of course, I'm not a doctor, not giving medical advice or anything like that. I'm in terms of what I'm seeing here, I am cautiously optimistic for you. Yes. Not to say there isn't more to do and some smaller changes to make and so on. In terms of the blood test, I'm pretty confident you're going to see improvement. Pretty confident, yes. All right, on we go. Angie. Oh, just saw, is that, I don't know if that's you, Cheryl, on at the moment, but I was thinking of you. I miss being on the road a little bit. I really do miss seeing some of you at the moment. It's sort of coming up for me at the moment. Very, very grateful to do this, but all right. Angie. Good morning. We received some unsolicited advice in regard to our business location versus expansion. What do we need to know that is for the greater good for our business future? Okay. So you're asking, Angie, you're really asking about location versus expansion, right? Right. Right. Angie, I'm going to, in terms of what I'm seeing here, I do not recommend you change your location. I do not recommend that you expand either. Okay. In time, yes, in time, and I think that's what it's about. I think it's a timing thing. I don't think it's a good time right now, um, and it's funny because are there other locations? Yes, yes, there are. Is could you expand? Could you expand? Are things going in a way that can be expanded? Yes, but I don't like what I'm seeing here in terms of the outcome. In terms of the outcome, and things are so changeable right now, aren't they? Things are very volatile out there. It could well be that. It could well be that. But I don't recommend um, expansion or changing of location. Brittany. Oops. Um, been feeling drawn back to the sacred geometry and want to explore this. Is this something in the cards for you? Brittany, absolutely, but not yet. Not yet. Let me try and explain this. That I feel it's the second thing you should do. What's the point of sacred geometry? What's actually the point of it? It's we are, because we are sacred geometry. Now think of something like a sport or boxing or golf or anything like these are physics given a particular purpose, right? And then story around it. But it's embodying physics, isn't it? And you hit a golf ball, you kick a soccer ball, so on. It's all the principles of physics in action in a way that we can gamify it. Sacred geometry, we truly know sacred geometry when we feel reasonably good or are able to get ourselves into a place where we can. You want to really know sacred geometry, look at then you'll know it through your physical experience and through your emotional mental experience. Now I'm not this isn't this isn't meaning to be a distraction, quite the opposite, because I'm seeing here that your perspective is not. I'm seeing here that sacred geometry as a first step for you is actually a distraction. That you need to look first of all at your perspective on yourself, and then bring it to sacred geometry. But don't try and go outside in, go inside out. But Brittany, you've got the gift for it. You've got the gift for it. I could have just said, yeah, right, and be on someone else. Now I could have just said that, and so on. But it's that would be. I haven't got the word. That would be shortchanging you in terms of what is possible for you, and shortchanging you in terms of, let's just say, growth for you could take 6 years. A particular shift in your life could take 6 years. Why should it take 6 years? Why can't it take 6 weeks or 6 months? Right. So think about your geometric form. Right? Think about that. Think about that first. Then take it to the proportions of your environment and the world. Then see it everywhere else. I hope that makes sense. Sometimes it's frustrating that I can't just have a chat It's great. It's great to do this, and at least I can do something for you guys. That's really nice. But sometimes, like, oh my god, wish I could get more into detail and um, give my words better. Emily. Time does, but does speaking to my foundations team about pursuing that path help me for future jobs? Emily, absolutely yes, it does. Absolutely yes. Yes, do it, do it, do it. Do it, do it, do it. Yes. Lisa. Lisa, with all the emojis, grand rising. I love that expression. I never heard the expression grand rising before, even before a few years ago. I love it. Joshua, any guidance around business shifts in the next 6 months or so? Let's see, how else are we doing for time? Just making sure I don't miss anyone. Okay, Lisa, and then I'm going to go to Roberta. Right. So, Lisa, business in the next 6 months looks really good. It looks really good. I'm going to just say focus, just focus, focus, focus. When you start to hear people around you, or it's a person, I'm not sure, maybe it's a person. When you start to hear a person around you leading you in different directions, even slightly, be very, very aware of that. That's the only fly in this ointment, as I'm seeing here. I do see tremendous opportunity. Be very, very, very clear about what you want to happen and where you want to get to. Now, you might say, well, duh, that's basic advice, isn't it? Yeah, it's very basic advice. You'd be surprised how few people freaking follow it. We can get very distracted along the way, can't we? And even Angie just now was talking about unsolicited advice and so on. So I see things going well. Be really, really clear what is guidance that you are getting versus guidance someone else is getting and bringing to you. All right, it's where you're going is tremendously important. Your relationship with where you're going is tremendously important. It's yeah, just be aware if someone's pulling you in a different direction. That's the only thing I don't like about this. Yeah. Roberta, a card pull, yes. Well, first of all, I see no challenge, no concerns with what has just come down in front of me. Let me say that first of all, Roberta. However, it's I haven't spoken to you for a long time, and I just feel like you want to hear something exciting, and I don't have that either. I don't have that either. Um, um, Saying this with a smile on my face because life is just like that sometimes. What I'm getting is maybe that's good. Maybe it's a privilege to not have concerns at this time. But I'll say this. Seeds getting sown for the longer term right now. I think maybe it's important to not negate that and not diminish that. Right. The looking at the world changing. You thinking about where the future's taking you. This is what I'm seeing here, and I know you want me to say, "Oh, this." It's like it's not as simple as that. Let me say this to you, then, Roberta. Let your path be your path, and let yourself walk it at the pace and timing that you walk it. We run into funny situations when we compare ourselves to other people. Because no one's walking our path. You're not walking mine. I'm not walking yours. Especially when the world is so turbulent as it is right now, we get into this dialogue of should and should and should. And that's when it's really important to know oneself. What's my preference? What's my skills, my abilities? What do I want? What is calling to me? What is calling me not to? Right? This sounds so dull and so boring and so mundane, but it's really important. Okay, Julia, if there is time, I'd love to have a card read as to where I should be focusing my attention for spiritual growth. It's feeling like I'm scattered. I can well understand that, Julia. I'll say two things to you, Julia. One is it almost doesn't matter because you're coming to the conclusion of a cycle. And so what are your words saying? Spiritual growth is going to happen whether you wanted it to or not, right? You're I think we call it graduation. And so the feeling of scattered, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I have something more deliberate to say in a minute, but I'm not done with this yet. I'm not done with this. I've got an action thing for you in a minute, but first I want to say, why don't you try doing nothing? Why don't you try doing nothing instead of what I'm kind of honestly seeing as a bit of fixing and trying to change situation, trying to change people and so on. I'm sure you're doing it with the very, very, very best will in the world. But I don't think it's supporting you. What if you just didn't? The one of the best pieces of advice I'll ever get is what you seek is seeking you, which means we should just be able to let things come. Not at the point of being idle or whatever, but I think with the mechanics of the universe, we shouldn't have to stretch and stretch and stretch and strive and try all the time as a way of being. So why don't you try stopping and seeing what comes to you? I would call that a spiritual action. And if you don't like that, then the other thing I'm seeing here is boundaries. It's boundaries. Placing boundaries, and I'm going to leave that very deliberately open for you. I don't feel I should lead you with that. I've already led you, prompted you in a direction with already. So I want to suggest boundaries to you. Boundaries of time, attention, people, relationships. And I'll leave that there. All right. Well, so everyone, let's take a breath, please, together. Let's take a lovely breath together. Thank you ever so much for joining me, taking this time with me today. I hope it's been of support to you all. I like to just always finish by taking a breath for simply saying a prayer and taking a breath for the world. We say a prayer for each person. We say a prayer for yourself as well. We say a prayer for the people we don't want to say prayers for, recognizing that they are God's children equally, just as we are. We extend love where and how and when we can. We hold that as a field, as a community together. Wonderful. Have a lovely week, everyone. I will be on here in a different room on Saturday to do some sound healing for us. Please join me for that if you wish. Till then, have a great weekend. Stay warm. Everything we still have to say. My hands are blue here. Stay warm. God bless. Be well, and I'll see you soon.